Shane here at the Brick House, back again with another video. This mock of the week is an 8-stud Speed Champion vehicle that I saw on Rebrickable, and it sparked memories of when I was a kid and I had to build it. And that is the 1972 Ferrari GTS. Now, the reason why this sparks memories is because this vehicle was the first vehicle that was used in the 1984 TV show Miami Vice. Now, when I was a young teenager, Miami Vice was the coolest, hippest show on TV. It had the coolest cars, the coolest clothes, the coolest music. I don't think the clothes stood the test of time, but the vehicles definitely did. And so as I was building this vehicle, it brought back memories of the show. So I thought, in addition to the vehicle, I thought I'd add some minifigures to it to complete the story. So let's zoom in and I'll get in on the build. Now, I really like that Lego moved to the 8-stud vehicle because it allows for a lot more detail on the automobiles. And as I said, this was a 1972 Ferrari GTS 4, and it was created by Pierre Brunsvig. The instructions cost $5, which I think is totally reasonable. And I really love the back of this vehicle because, as you can see, it has that quintessential 1970s Ferrari design with the quad exhaust. Really did a nice job on this. I like the fact that he tried to make the swooping trunk because the real vehicle does have this down slope of the trunk. To do that, he had to build a hinge right here, and the consequence is that you can see this gap here. I have seen other vehicles like this created where this is flat and there is no gap. It's kind of a trade-off, but overall I like the swooping back trunk and I'm willing to live with the gap there. Other than that, the vehicle is right on point. There was also a black cheese wedge where the orange lights were. As you can see, there is an orange 1x1 stud here to mimic the side lights. I didn't like the black cheese wedge here, and I thought that the trans clear cheese wedges would look better there, so that's a little modification that I made to the original build. But as you can see, I think it looks much more like a Ferrari Daytona. I love building these little 8-stud vehicles because they're only about 350 pieces. Most of the pieces I already had. Building MOCs can get expensive, so what I like to do is, since I plan on building a lot of 8-stud vehicles, I found a seller who had lots of tires and lots of rims and lots of pieces that are used to build the chassis and 8-stud vehicles, and I ordered several of them. Because now that I've built several MOCs, I've noticed that I have to get the pieces from 10 different sellers on Bricklink, and so the pieces might only cost me $2 or $3, but the shipping cost me $5 or $6. So if I spend $50 in pieces from 10 different sellers, I end up spending another $50 in shipping, and that really adds to the cost of building MOCs. So what I like to do now is, since I plan on building lots of MOCs, is if some seller has many pieces of what I'm looking for, I buy several. So now I have a stash to continue building these, and I don't have to keep paying shipping charges. I really love the seats that they've designed. These are 1x1 tiles, as well as the 2x2 tiles to create the Napa leather seats. Of course, there is the dashboard with the steering wheel. You'll notice once again that I have omitted the printed pieces. There is a speedometer that on Rebrickable costs an average of about $2. I didn't want to spend $2 for a 1x1 printed piece. Has a stick shift, as you can see, and it only has one side mirror. It does not have a side mirror on this side. So the vehicle has great line, very simple to build. Since it reminded me of the Miami Vice show that I grew up watching as a kid, I thought it made sense for me to create some minifigs to go along with it. And so what I did is I created Sonny Crockett, and he is the star detective. To build him, this torso and body come from the 1980s Yuppie minifig, and that was pretty affordable. I think it was $2. As you may know, in the show, it was in the 80s, so he wore a lot of Versace white and white loafers and pastel colors underneath, so I thought that the 80s Yuppie minifigure was the right choice. I then found someone with sunglasses. Sometimes Sonny does wear sunglasses, sometimes he doesn't. And then I got the wavy hair to kind of mimic his wavy hair. And then I also created his partner, which is Tubbs, and his name is Rico Tubbs in the show. His torso is a Lego City businessman. He usually wore suits, even though it was in Miami, because he was such a cool customer, I guess. There are not a lot of brown Lego heads. There are only a handful. Most of them are from Star Wars. This gentleman is from Star Wars. Mace Windu. Not a brown minifig head. It's actually called reddish brown. So if you want to search for these, you have to search for a reddish brown face. And so together they make Crockett and Tubbs. Now, as I said in the beginning of the show, it was the Ferrari Daytona which was used in the show, but in the second season, or perhaps it was the third season, they worked out their differences with Ferrari, and instead of having the Ferrari replica, they actually moved to a white Testarossa. Since I always start something with Lego and it seems to snowball into something bigger, I also built the Ferrari Testarossa, the white Testarossa that replaced this in season 3. Now this vehicle was created by Barnius, and I think he's from the UK, and as you can see, the lines on it really look like a Ferrari Testarossa. It's absolutely incredible. If you look from the back, you can see it looks like a Testarossa. It looks fantastic. Now this builder, is kind of the honey badger of 8-stud vehicles. There are so many illegal build techniques and so many things that I've never seen. This actually is the top to the new Lamborghini Countach. The instructions have just a clear windscreen. I thought it looked better with the white windscreen. But this builder, if you look at this piece, under here are 1x1 studs that just sit on top of a 1x1 flat tile. They're not connected to anything. It's just like a block put in here for these to then sit on top, and the thing securing this is just 2 studs here. So these pieces aren't even connected. This is just one of the wild building techniques that this designer used to build this vehicle. As you can see, once again, the Napa leather seats. I like that the designer didn't use any printed pieces inside. This designer just went bananas with his build technique. There's also a piece here. This is a 1x2 flat tile that presses into here to make the back of the wheel well. As you can see, there's some cheese wedges here. It's just a phenomenal build. I was nervous so many times building this Ferrari because I was just curious how it was going to hold together, because there was parts of it that were so fragile until he then connected other pieces to make it all come together. This build was one of the most clever, funnest 8-stud vehicles I've put together so far. I have the Ferrari Daytona and the Ferrari Testarossa, both vehicles from the Miami Vice show, which was one of the coolest shows on TV in the 80s, and the 2 main characters of the show. I'm gonna have a mock of the week every week, showcasing different designers over the summer. In the late summer, early fall, I will get back into the Lego investing and which sets are retiring and which ones I'm buying. So stay tuned for that. Get out there and enjoy the weather. Hopefully things are getting better wherever you live. But I also hope you get outside, spend time with your friends and family out in nature. So that's my video for today, and I'll see you next time.